How did he overlook that? I don't buy that one. I don't buy that. Generic intro into that goes me. We're back with some more FNAF game theory videos. Today we have the theory that changed everything, which apparently I think the last video was actually supposed to be like a part of this video, but he had to split it up because it apparently makes total sense. And I read all your comments, so apparently a lot of people are backing that up as well. Apparently this episode is going to be really good. But you want to check out my reaction to the last one, which was the FNAF 6 Stumped Him. I'll leave it right up there. I'll also give a link down below in the description. Also going to be a place on my channel with all the other FNAF reactions. Go in chronological order if you want to check those out. But like I said, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hopefully I can make it a tiny little better, and I read all of your comments or response to them, so you know I'm reading them. Unlike other YouTubers that say they read them, but you never see them responding in the comments. I go through and read every single one of them the night after a video goes live, and then people will literally comment months later and just be like, I know this is old and you probably won't see this. And I'd be like, I read your comments, even if it's like a year old or something like that. But like I said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanksgiving should be tomorrow, but today is going to be Wednesday. I'm going to be streaming at 5 p.m. playing my Pokemon White Nuzlocke. Still in the very beginning. It's been a struggle because I've never played anything past Gen 4, so that's going to be wild. I just reacted to Alpharad's video. That should be out tomorrow, but I've only ever played the first FNAF game, and I really don't want to play the second one. I'm just going to skip the second one. If I do get back into playing it, I might try the super hard mode on FNAF 1, and then I'll probably start FNAF 3. I'm just skipping FNAF 2 altogether. But let's go ahead and jump into the theory that changed everything. Alright, let's see how much this actually changed. Okay. The last episode was good. A lot of people are excited for this one. I'm not really sure. I like how he was asking everybody for help, and like a lot of people figured it out like instantly. Interesting that the security camera so easily spotted. Been there. Been there. Also, that's an IKEA desk, I'm pretty sure. Is that the burned down facility? Okay. There's the puppet. Don't like the puppet. No problem with Lefty. No problem with Lefty at all. As long as the puppet's not unnaturally skinny and long, no problem. If the puppet turns into Lefty, no issues.
Screw it, you know by now.
Yeah.
If I seem a bit off my game today, forgive me. You'll soon
14
learn
million
why.
views.
Pull up a chair. Let's talk.
I'm already in a chair.
Caught you up on everything, and I do mean everything. All my past theories on FNAF 6, the gravestones, the masks, the names of the children inside the animatronics, the connections to the novels.
Get
the
out of here,
identity
puppet.
Of the puppet.
Get out of here.
I showed you this. The FNAF
book,
Survival
which had so many
Logbook.
Easter eggs.
The book that, in 7 years of doing this,
7 years?
A book that contains within its pages an elaborate series of codes that serve as the key to unlocking
does anybody
the
actually
identity
know?
of Golden Freddy. A freaking children's activity workbook.
I mean, it wasn't
with
necessarily meant
dabbing
for children.
Chica in it is the thing to defeat me. That dabbing Chica taunts me in my nightmares. But
That's
Golden
funny.
Freddy's unbreakable code is only the tip of the iceberg. This book is like a repeated kick in the balls. Everything I thought I knew about FNAF has crumbled in
Not
front
everything.
of my eyes. It's like Freddy Fazbear got a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet
Oh,
and snapped
Thanos.
his fingers, and then all of my theories suddenly turned to dust.
And I've been
unlike
reacting to them
the
even though they've been
novels, which
out
have
of,
questionable
you know,
canonicity, the
completely
Survival
wrong.
Logbook
But it's a journey.
outright answers a lot of our questions about these games. But the answers that it provides just lead to more questions. And not stupid small questions either, like what's Mangle's gender? No, it upends huge
Don't care.
parts of the
Fire?
story. The logbook is simultaneously the most important, most revealing, and most frustrating piece of evidence to ever be thrown into this franchise.
Why?
You see, as I mentioned last time,
Why
this
they feel-
workbook once
it
belonged
felt like
to
they
Mike,
literally made it just
aka
for
Michael
Easter eggs.
Afton. The book establishes that Mike writes his answers in red pen. It also establishes that there's a spirit possessing the book who speaks
What do
to Mike
you
via
remember?
lightly faded text. From what I can gather, it appears to be the spirit
Why was
of Golden
Foxy
Freddy.
crying?
And starting with that information, the logbook then proceeds to drop bombshell after bombshell as far
so
as
that
lore
effect?
reveals go.
These
First,
videos
the
have gotten
book
so much
outright
better in
confirms
quality.
What we've known for a while now, that Mike is the same Mike who works as the night guard during Sister Location.
Exotic
When
butter.
asked what he would like for his 1 week bonus, we see him doodling in the corners of
1
the
week
page
bonus?
baskets of money and baskets of exotic butters.
All right,
On
maybe he
another
means
page,
gold?
He's drawing a smooth set of casual bongos.
No.
Sure, it's nothing earth-shattering, but when it comes to this franchise, getting any portion of any theory confirmed is a big win. And while that reveal might
That's
not be
true.
all that earth-shattering, you know what is? The book reveals that Michael Afton is who we play as in FNAF 4. On page 40,
FNAF
the
4.
workbook starts asking about dreams, and via
Wait,
his
he's the
doodle,
kid?
we see that Mike somehow knows the appearance of Nightmare Fredbear, something only the protagonist of
What?
FNAF 4 should be aware of. To further confirm
Okay, that was
this, on
actually
page
kind of scary there.
23 of the book, the spirit who
Got
uses the book to
chills
Mike
on the
outright
spine
asks,
and-
"What's your favorite childhood toy a plastic purple telephone?" Which, as you may remember, is a direct reference
To
to
what?
the purple telephone on the
Oh,
ground
there it
in the
is.
FNAF 4 bedroom. And if you still think it's
Then
a
why is that his
coincidence,
favorite toy?
It's not. 20 pages later, the spirit starts talking about whether any of the toys on the page look familiar. Most don't, except for one, the phone. Now, for the eight of you who still remember how this whole freaking story fits together, you might be asking me, but we all thought the protagonist of FNAF 4 was the crying child, the one who gets himself bitten during
No,
the
it'd be the
birthday
one that
party because
notices
we
and
have flashes
watches
of a
it.
hospital bed and hear a flatline at the end of the game. We also assumed that the animatronic Nightmare
Hi.
was representative of death. And you know
hi.
what? You're absolutely right. That is exactly what we've been thinking. And
We
here's
weren't
the
wrong.
thing. We weren't wrong.
What,
We've
did he change
apparently
it?
been right about all of that, except there was one teeny tiny
Wrinkle.
bitsy little wrinkle that we didn't expect.
Which is?
Michael Afton was the bite victim. Michael Afton was the crying child.
How did he overlook
I
that?
couldn't believe it either. But the proof here
I
is
mean, yeah, it could.
unquestionable. On page 75,
Is this-
a page asking about imaginary friends,
Or is he completely
and
wrong
featuring
about
the
that?
psychic friend Fredbear
I think somebody
Plush,
said
the
there's one
spirit
part that
outright
in a
asks,
future
"Does
video
he
he's
still
completely
talk
wrong
to you?"
about.
And perhaps the most damning piece of evidence of all, on page 103, the huge reveal,
The
quote,
party was
"The
for you."
party
Oh.
was for you. Mike Afton is confirmed to be the crying child. He's the bite victim. He's the one who, at the end of the game,
It adds
apparently
up.
needed to be put back together. It seems undeniable at this point. But then that leads to the obvious next question.
Which
how
is?
could he have been bitten and died there, but then also be in sister
Maybe somebody else
location as an
died.
adult, gotten himself scooped, blah,
Scoop.
blah, 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 until FNAF 6 when he finally burns with the rest of his family. I have been smacking my head against a wall trying to make sense of it all. And I have some theories. Big surprise there.
Yeah,
It's
no
interesting.
surprises.
When I did my final FNAF theory, not that one.
Not
my
that one.
final FNAF theory.
No, not that one. Not
that
the
one.
other final
Those
one.
are technically FNAF 6 theories. God, jeez, this one.
The
when
final
I did
theory.
This theory, I concluded that the story of FNAF was, at its core, a story about a family, the Afton family. But now it's
Yeah.
becoming increasingly clear
Coulda
to me
just
that
had
it's
a
really
silly
the story
sitcom.
of Michael Afton specifically. 4 games, 1 story. Like Scott said back during the FNAF 4 days so long ago. It's the story of the crying child growing up, discovering the atrocities of his father, and then trying to make amends for those. We know for a fact that
yeah.
Michael Afton is the main character of FNAF 1 from the endgame
Mike
paycheck,
Schmidt.
sister
But why is
location
his
from the name
last
tag
name
and
Schmidt
custom
instead of
night.
Afton?
Found it. It was right where you said it would be.
FNAF 6 from Henry's closing monologue, and now FNAF 4 from the survival logbook. And we're still
There's a lot of
not
people
done.
named Mike.
The survival logbook also connects Mike to FNAF
That's the game I'm
2.
not touching.
On page 56, the spirit asks, "Was your favorite ride the carousel?" A question that
Who
only
likes
makes sense if Mike
carousels?
had been to the FNAF 2 location, because it's
Well,
the only one with a carousel.
yeah,
That
not
means
those
that
kinds.
only
The
game
one you,
without
like,
a
spin
solid
around
connection
on a
to Mike
playground,
was FNAF
those are
3.
great.
But then there's the whole
The ones where you ride a pony?
It's me, Michael.
complete with a burned down Fazbear fright in the background, which seems to be hinting at him being the person who burned the place down, trying to put an end to
Okay.
his father's reign of terror. Michael Afton even shares a connection with the dead children whose names
How?
appear on the gravestones. Going back to the survival logbook, see, I told you guys this thing
The
was
first
important.
5
When the
nights.
book asks
Apparently.
about missing people on account of them being
I
stuck
felt like
into
the book was like a
animatronic suits,
handout
the
for
spirit
theories.
asks, "Do you miss them?" It clearly connects Michael Afton to the other missing kids who go on to possess the animatronic suits. This means that Michael is connected to every game and every major character in the story. So let's update it to 6 games,
Because they-
1
all the
story.
different timelines and stuff, all the
Michael's
years.
Story. Which is all very beautiful to say, but seriously, what is that story? If you've been paying
Tragedy?
attention, we still
Family
have a pretty
drama?
big elephant in the room, i.e. a dead kid who somehow grows up to become an immortal purple skin suit for robot spaghetti. Oh, and if the game wasn't complicated enough, Michael might not even be his real name. The spirit in the
What-
logbook repeatedly asks him, "What do you remember?" And even
What?
more importantly, "Do you remember your name?" It's
No,
even hidden
wait,
in
what
the
do you mean?
freaking word search.
What
I
is
haven't
your
even
name?
mentioned the other elephants in the room, like how very clearly the gravestones relate to the kids in the
What was the movie
animatronic
that's like,
suits,
what is it?
and
Say My
yet
Name
two
or
of
something like
those
that.
names directly
Deadpool.
tie back to the security guards from FNAF 2. And if you want to go
Was it
really, really deep, like you know I love to do, you see Susie's font on her gravestone? Did you know it's the same font that's used to introduce each night of FNAF 4?
I did
That's
not.
something that no one else online has noticed, and if fonts are important, which remember, they probably are, Scott doesn't do coincidences,
No, he doesn't.
so 4 gravestones with completely different fonts is
Just
probably
the
important
fact
in
he
some
had
way.
to be
Notice
this,
how
like,
2 of the gravestones share
specific.
the same font, but it's not
To
Jeremy
not, like,
and Fritz,
accidentally.
which you would probably expect since they're the 2 who are mentioned in FNAF 2.
But maybe they
There
died
are
together.
so
Maybe they're all-
many freaking elephants in this room. It is a very crowded room. Remember what I said
Maybe they all
earlier
died at
about
different
repeated
points.
kicks to the crotch? This is what I'm talking about. That said, after months of thinking about this and more kicks to the crotch than I care to mention, I think I do have an idea of what might be going
Kids,
on here. And it
swear.
all begins in probably the most confusing place of all.
The minigame?
Motorist from FNAF 6. When I first
Huh?
spoke about this minigame, I said that the mustard man here was William
Mustard Man,
Afton.
yeah.
And I could tell that a lot of you weren't too convinced in my conclusion. And I'll
Oh,
be
people think
honest,
it's Henry?
I wasn't
Dave?
100% sure of it either, but it was the best I could do at the time. But now I am.
What is he holding, though? Is it a purple phone from his childhood?
Who we're seeing here. You see, FNAF 6 is simultaneously the end of the story as well as the beginning. It's the end because, well, everyone burns to death, and it's the beginning
Very
because
good.
it's the origin story of the puppet. And as we know, everything begins with the puppet. She's the one that allows all the other animatronics to become possessed, as we see in FNAF 2, which makes the security puppet minigame pretty much the earliest event we ever see in any of these games. And we also know that it's
That's what started
William
all
who
of it.
killed Charlotte in that back alley. This is the origin story of the purple guy, complete with his purple car that we saw in FNAF 2 after all. But here's the detail I was
What?
missing before. If you brighten up the final screen of the security
What do you
puppet
mean brighten
minigame,
up?
you'll see tire tracks left by the purple car driving away from
That's
the front.
necessarily tire
This
tracks?
leads directly to the events of Midnight Motorist, which happens immediately after
Also, what an
his
interesting
murder.
game to
Here's
have
how
in
we
a
know
Five
this
Nights
for
at Freddy
sure.
game.
Not only are you driving a purple car, and not only is it raining in both of the
They use
minigames,
purple a lot
so they're
for these
connected
kind of
on
games.
both those fronts, but get this. Reddit user GB Aura found that this section of the game in the source files is titled Later That Night,
Later that-
giving us the time connection
Huh?
we needed to know 100% that Orange Guy is William Afton. He killed Charlotte in the rain outside of Fredbear's,
And then drives off.
away, and winds up back home
Get out of here,
later that night. Boom! Proven, locked and loaded.
Is that what's in the box?
Game, knowing what we know now about Michael being the crying child, we know that the couch potato here is his older brother. Mr. Foxy Mask, let me shove my brother into an animatronic mouth and get him killed, speaking in his signature gray text.
He had a
Who
rough day.
apparently no longer has a name, which leaves Michael as the one who escaped to that place again. That is who William is mad at, with that
He's mad at
place
Michael?
being obviously none other than
So
Freddy.
what, he
And
was
from there,
sneaking
a
off to
lot
go
of
play with the
pieces start to fit
animatronics?
together. William's frustration with Michael
Open
escaping
the door.
explains why we see him have surveillance cameras all over his house and sister location. It's
Oh,
not an
kid was
experiment
trying
or
to run
anything.
away.
He is
Diet
literally
Coke and
keeping
Mentos.
tabs on the boy who keeps running away. It also explains why we see Michael, the crying child, locked in his room throughout FNAF 4. William himself says at the end of Midnight Motorist that Michael will be sorry when he gets back. And he is, as William constantly locks him in his room, making him unable to escape anymore.
Jesus.
All of this might even
That's-
explain the rationale
that's
for
awful.
the nightmare animatronics.
That's not how you
William
parent.
built them, or else used his mind-altering sound disc that first
I don't buy that
theory
one.
to
I don't buy
scare
that.
Michael so that he would stop wanting to go to the restaurant in the first place. That's why he's so scared of the place when we see him in FNAF 4.
So why does he keep going there?
I'm literally in the recording closet
Yeah, he
right
literally
now recording this,
still
and
does this.
suddenly things started to fit together in a weird way. I'm just gonna throw this in here right as it happened in my mind. I'll need to look into this later, probably a future theory, but let's just bring it up now. Orange Guy is William, right? But he's turned away at the front door of Junior's, which is completely random, and everyone's like, why is this in the minigame? Well, could it be because of the investigation into the missing children's incident? Remember
What,
what
they wouldn't let
Bill
him
said
in?
from FNAF 2?
From what I understand, the building is on lockdown, and no one is allowed in or out, especially concerning any previous employees.
Afton is rejected at the front door of the building because of the lockdown, and because he's a previous employee. It makes the timeline a bit messy, and I'll have to go back.
Oh, because they found the bodies, and he was working there, so he's like under investigation, or not letting anybody tamper.
To juniors, but the building is under investigation because of the missing children's incident.
And they won't let him in.
The former employee is turned away at the door. He's not allowed in. It's not a bar. It's nothing like that.
It's not a bar.
Freddy Fazbear's Jr. or something. The second location. The FNAF 2 location. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because it just occurred to me as I was writing this thing. I haven't had time to fully flesh it out or work it into the script, but I thought it was important enough to include. Break the flow of things. Regardless,
yeah,
it
break
gives
the
us
flow.
something else to chew on. Now back to the actual episode as I wrote it. Okay, I continue to avoid the obvious question here. Michael's death and apparent rebirth. If I'm being honest, it's because I don't really have a fully fleshed out explanation.
The lobotomy.
It's
maybe that changed. I have no idea. No idea how all that
really
goes
so
together.
Would you be so kind as to Freddy Fazbear with me?
Okay, Boomstick.
As I go through what I think might be happening here. We know that Michael Afton is special, right? I mean, we see him get scooped,
he got scooped and lived.
Pile of rotten flesh, and yet he is still able to survive.
Somehow.
Sure, when we see him in Sister Location, he's not altogether human. Now, hold on to that idea for a second for me.
Okay.
While we're on the topic of Sister Location, let's look at The Immortal and the Restless. The super
what?
random
Is that
soap
like a
opera
little...
from the game with a name
you gotta
that,
watch soap
now
operas?
When I say it aloud in context, actually starts to make a little bit more sense. It stars Vlad, an immortal vampire who's dressed in purple, who starts every episode saying,
I tell you, the baby isn't mine.
And in FNAF, we have William Afton, a man who's apparently immortal enough to survive a spring lock failure, who, like a vampire, sucks the remnant out of children and who knows, maybe survives on it, and is represented by the color purple. It's actually a lot of similarities. So could the repeated lines of
Not my baby, the baby isn't mine, the baby isn't mine.
Actually
Michael Jackson.
To William's relationship.
That's a Billie Jean
Michael.
reference, in case you're wondering.
What if Michael isn't actually William's son? It seems like
Did
it would be a logical leap, but we know for a fact that Michael's real name isn't Michael.
His last
remember
name
what
is
the
Schmidt.
Logbook said. Do you remember your name? Well, of course he does, Logbook. He wrote it on the front cover. Mike.
But what if he changed it? That's not his real name. And maybe that's somebody trying to reach out to him, like a sibling or something.
All this random observation
that's like haunting him or something. Maybe he's related to Charlotte.
Overarching storylines is that the main character, Charlotte, had a twin who was kidnapped by Springtrap when she was younger. At the end of the second book, it's
Sammy is Michael?
That the twin wasn't actually kidnapped, it was her, which seems to imply that Charlotte and her twin were one and the same, or were somehow interchangeable. Then, in the final pages, Charlotte dies from a spring lock failure, only to miraculously come back to life unscathed in the next few days as if nothing had ever happened. There are also a lot of clues sprinkled throughout the book that William Afton has the ability to create hyper-realistic humanoid robots.
And, like, this is old. Like, this is not even, like, current day.
I haven't even gotten to how I think the main character of the book series is probably a robot. But again, those are all theories for other days.
Yeah.
Long story short, everything seems to point to Charlotte in the books being an AI. Maybe at one point she was a person, but she died or was kidnapped at an early age, and ever since, her personality has been programmed into a computer where she's now able to be replicated over and over again into a super advanced robot that's somehow now able to grow and develop. I didn't write the books, okay? Now, obviously, the two are vastly different canons, but the games and books do relate in a lot of ways. And we know in the games from William's daughter Elizabeth that full-on personalities of individuals can get programmed into AI.
Because Baby
Elizabeth
turned into
goes on to possess the spirit of Baby. So
and
what if Michael is just one of those? Sure, he was killed in the bite of 83, but when William promised to put him back together, it meant literally
putting him back together. Literally.
Find a way to piece him back together using some combination of robotics expertise and miracle soul juice remnants. That's how Michael dies in FNAF 4, but somehow comes back to life in later games. It's how he's able to get scooped, get a bunch of robot spaghetti shoved into him, and then still survive when the robot spaghetti gets puked out of him.
Which, not even sure how you would manage to do that.
To remember his original
because
name.
He's not even like him anymore.
The truth about what he actually is, that he's no longer human, he decides to end it all
and burn the entire place
of FNAF 6 after having done his best to set the souls of his former friends free. Whoo boy,
Maybe?
that is a lot. And between all these reveals
Maybe?
and last week's code, there is a ton for us theorists to start chewing on. But now you get an idea of why I've been beating myself up for months trying to put this whole thing together. It upends mostly everything that we thought we knew about the franchise. Sure, it answers some of our questions.
But the thing is, this all could be completely wrong. There could be something else.
It opens the door to a lot.
There could be something scary. Oh, nothing there. Okay, that's good.
Anyway, the final book in the FNAF trilogy, The Fourth Closet, is coming out soon. I know a bunch of it leaked online already, but I'm trying to stay blind to it so as not to spoil anything in my theories. And even more exciting, Scott is releasing Ultimate Custom Night soon. So between those two, I am certain that there'll be more clues on the way, helping us to come to a final conclusion to all of this.
We put you back together.
Okay.
You're apart all over again.
So until then,
that's a little
remember,
spooky.
It's all just a theory.
A game. What is that? What was that?
Theory, with some game hypothesis thrown in there for good measure.
Yeah, just
Thanks
ad-lib stuff that was just thrown in there.
If you like the FNAF theories and you haven't checked out our theories on Petscop, well then
what is Petscop?
Check it out. Petscop is a lot like the new FNAF, except even more obscure.
I've
even
literally
more creepy,
never heard of
but,
it.
You can't play the game, unfortunately.
What do you mean you can't play the game? What? Why can't you play the game?
And if you have any hopes of ever achieving a final answer as to the lore of this franchise, you know
Get out of my
what you're gonna
sight.
have to do, and that is jump scare that subscribe button. You've got 5
You can do the same.
seconds to do it before the video ends. 5.
No, actually less than that, but wow, a jump scare. That makes me want to subscribe. We were right all along, so he must burn. That's gonna be the next one. I'm not really sure, but yeah, that does change a lot. Michael being the Michael, if his name is Sammy, if he's like the actual, like, everyone, like he's in every single one of the games, if it's his story, that changes everything. It's possible. I'm not fully convinced, but I'm saying it's possible. It really is possible. It could make sense. Now, we don't have the full picture. I'm sure there's going to be other theories that come out and more information that gets, released, but I think a lot of that adds up. He's not jumping too far to a conclusion, so I have no idea. I really enjoyed this video. I hope you did too. I hope you're subscribed to see all my future videos, and maybe check out some other videos or previous videos. There's a playlist on my channel with all of my FNAF videos. There's 2 videos on my channel me playing the first FNAF game, and I don't like scary games, so you'll definitely enjoy that if you enjoy FNAF and enjoy my reactions, because I don't like scary games, and yeah, it's not fun. There's also Resident Evil 2 on my channel, me playing through. It's a VOD. Yeah, that was also an interesting experience, but I look forward to the next one. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving if that's what you're celebrating. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope I was able to make it a little bit better. I'll be streaming today at 5 p.m. playing some Pokemon White as a Nuzlocke on Twitch, but until the next video, take care and cue the music.
We were playing as soldiers, making swords.